Think of a family like a living tree. As it grows, the individual branches expand in wildly different directions, seeking their own light and space. Yet, to survive, every single one of those divergent branches has to draw its life from the exact same set of roots. Time, however, introduces a natural entropy. The older generation, the matriarchs and patriarchs who naturally hold those roots together, eventually pass away. When those elders disappear, the gravity that holds a family together often goes with them. Annual traditions start to fade, the physical distance between cousins and siblings feels harder to bridge, and the quiet relational dysfunctions that exist in every bloodline begin to fracture the remaining ties. So when the elders are gone and the branches are scattered across the country, what stops a family's shared history, their unique spiritual identity, from vanishing entirely? The answer often requires deliberate action, like an intentional family reunion. Looking at this genealogical chart of the Bethapudi clan, you see the scale of this multi-generational lineage. To keep this massive network intact, reunions serve as a mechanism for legacy preservation. This struggle is a central biblical theme, suggesting gatherings anchor a lineage's identity. This chart lays out Jacob's family, tracing the 12 tribes of Israel, a structure defined by extreme dysfunction. The famous rift involves Joseph. His brothers, driven by jealousy, sold him into slavery, creating an agonizing fracture that separated them for decades. Years later, a severe famine forced a historic reunion. 70 members of Jacob's family traveled to Egypt and stood before Joseph, who now held the power of life and death over them. Instead of retaliating, Joseph made a difficult, deliberate choice to forgive his brothers and reunify the lineage. This dynamic is exactly what the Apostle Paul addresses in Ephesians 4:32, which instructs believers to forgive one another. True relational healing requires the active release of past hurts. A modern family reunion is meant to function the same way. It is a dedicated arena to practice grace, navigate old tensions, and actively mend broken branches. But healing the past is only half the equation. Families also have to protect their future. For this, the book of Jeremiah introduces a fascinating nomadic group called the Rechabites. The Rechabites lived by strict inherited rules passed down by their ancestor, Jonadab. They maintained absolute abstinence from wine and completely refused to build or live in permanent houses. These inherited boundaries functioned as a strategic survival mechanism, shielding their spiritual identity from the influence of the surrounding culture. This strategy aligns perfectly with the divine mandate found in Psalm 78. That text specifically tasks the older generation with enthusiastically transferring their faith, their testimonies, and their lived experiences directly to the youth. This lineage diagram illustrates that exact vertical transfer, tracing a legacy of faith downward from Jacob, through the kings of Judah, all the way to Jesus. A modern family reunion provides the physical environment for this exact kind of generational transmission to happen today. Without intentional shared spaces where elders can directly speak their history to the youth, a family slowly loses its defense against the cultural entropy of the outside world. The Rechabites' choice to live in tents cultivated what theologians call a pilgrim mindset. Every time they looked at their canvas walls, they had a constant physical reminder that this world was not their permanent home. This idea is woven throughout the New Testament. Both Hebrews 11 and 1 Peter 2 refer to believers as aliens and temporary residents, pointing out that our earthly life is just a brief stay. When you view a family reunion through this lens, the shared meals, the storytelling, and the laughter take on a different weight. They act as a dress rehearsal for a much larger biblical promise. The scriptures point toward an ultimate, eternal gathering of believers. In that final heavenly family reunion, the pain, the dysfunction, and the bitter separations that define earthly relationships will entirely cease to exist. So make the effort to gather your extended family. Do the difficult work of planning, traveling, and stepping intentionally into these ancient paths. Use that time to forgive past offenses, celebrate the roots you share, and make a conscious, deliberate effort to impart your faith to the next generation sitting across the table. By mending our branches and deepening our roots today, we build a spiritual legacy that is designed to outlast the world itself.